Hello, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, good. Today, John and I are trying something new. We're going to try Tech Talk with Templeton. And the reason I find this so interesting is because John's an amazing people person and a very good salesperson. But I've always found that technically he's kind of been a little shallow. And what we have now is he has turned into an amazing tech person when it comes to the SignalFire. So John I hope I'm not embarrassing you with this, but how about you tell me a little bit about the Ranger?
Sure. The Ranger, I'll just show it here. It's a really nice new device released in December this year, last year, I guess, by the SignalFire folks. It's I'll just flip through some slides here. Did I do that? Slides, there we go. Anyway, the Ranger is it's an MQTT device, Internet of Things device. So it's basically a cell modem with I/O built into it. It talks to MQTT. It has a analog in, discrete in. It's got discrete out. So it's a very standalone device. At this point, it talks analog devices and
So what kind of analog devices?
Basically 4 to 20 milliamp, 1 to 5 volts. It will power the transducer. So it's recommended if you want to keep the batteries up for a long time, you use the 1 to 5 volt version. It does come battery powered, but we can also have a solar panel tied to it. And one of our clients is actually feeding it with a DC signal elsewhere, not using the battery or the cell modem or the solar panel. So.
Well, that's awesome. So you talk here about a Modbus and HART in the future. I think I saw an email. How far out is the Modbus?
Well, Modbus is going to be is quicker than the HART. The Modbus, I was told, is as little as 2 months away. So it's going to be fairly quick. I haven't seen the functionality for the Modbus device yet, but if it's similar to the other SignalFire gadgets with Modbus, basically you map the data you want, and it's pretty simple to use. The configuration software is pretty simplistic.
Cool.
And so, HART, I don't know when HART's coming out.
Okay, but right now, what's available today? You said is MQTT, and you'd also told me before Spark-Plug B.
It uses MQTT transport layer, and it uses the Spark-Plug B protocol inside that. So you need a Spark-Plug B translator to the other end. It does talk to a broker, so you need a broker in the loop. But it works with any kind of cell modem. If you use the LTE Cat M1, as described here, it actually is low power. Cat M1's kind of a neat function. It actually powers down the transmitter off and on, so you don't run the battery all the time. So it keeps the battery up for a lot longer. So it's a very it's a new protocol. If you go online, it's available now in Canada. The Bell map for Canada shows the Cat M1 available throughout the country.
So so Cat M1 is just a more power efficient cellular option.
Yes, it cycles the power to the cell modem, so it's not on all the time. Like your cell phone is on all the time. Therefore, the batteries only last a certain length of time.
Okay, cool. So you have in here some markets you're looking at. So you have here pipeline pressure, water distribution, wellhead, tank farm, agriculture. That's pretty cool. Where are you using it right now?
Right now, one of our clients is using it to monitor some standby generators at pump stations. It's for a municipality. They are underground tunnels, get full of water when it rains, and they have standby generators powering the pumps. So if the power goes down and the rain comes anyway, the generators fire up and pump the water out. So they've got the Ranger interface to the generator for the generator status. The analog input they're using is actually the level of the water in the tunnel. And the temperature, they're actually taking the internal temperature from the Ranger. It's one of the internal variables. It actually tells you what the temperature of the electronics is. So the electronics are probably a couple degrees warmer than ambient. So it gives you a good indication of whether it's hot or cold.
And that's using MQTT Spark-Plug B?
Right now, the client is actually interfaced to the SignalFire cloud using MQTT Spark Plug B.
And because you know my bias towards VT SCADA, you said you also had set that up?
Yes, we actually have a application. We actually have the MQTT device talking to a T-Box RTU acting as a broker, and that broker's interface via cell to the Ranger and by Ethernet to VT SCADA. And then we have a protocol converter inside VT SCADA to convert the data from Sparkplug B to an OPC data.
And so just so I can drive a point home here, you set this up?
Yes, I did. I had a little bit of help, but yeah, it's not very hard. I said it's mostly a matter of just setting some parameters up. It's not really programming. It's just configuration, I guess. Pretty simple. The application on the VT SCADA end, once you've got the OPC interface, you just basically pick the tags you want off the out of the structure. So it's pretty simple to use.
That's fantastic. So
this is a slide that shows you the connectivity. They show the MQTT, the Sparkplug B interface in the middle with its TLS security, talking to a cloud. It's in the case in the office, we actually have, instead of having a cloud, we're actually going to a hardware piece called the T-Box. The nice thing about the T-Box is you don't have to pay cloud interface services to use it. And you control it yourself. You aren't paying money to somebody else.
Here, I'm entering with the T-Box.
Well, you got a T-Box, okay?
I do. I have a T-Box.
You have a T-Box.
I do. So there you go. That's the broker if you want your own private broker, correct?
Exactly.
Perfect.
And the T-Box will talk to 64 devices as a broker. So it's not super limiting, that's for sure.
Very good. So what else can this thing do?
Well, here's the list of the features. I said it's got, it's a pretty simple device. Like I said, the biggest component is the battery. It's got a built-in GPS. Again, when you're using the LTE Cat-M1 connectivity, when the cell's down, some modems down, the GPS can pick up the location. If you aren't using Cat-M1, the cell is never down, so the GPS never works. So it's kind of a neat feature. So you can actually put on a truck, for instance, with a tank on the back, and you could keep track of how much fluid's in the tank with the analog, and you could keep track of where the truck is. So for delivery services or those kinds of things, it'd be an ideal situation.
So what you're telling me is Cat-M1 and GPS go together?
They do so.
Cool. And so you have a micro SD card here for data storage. What's that?
Basically to archive the data. You can, at this point, the version I have right now does not support the SD card. The SD card's for the Modbus interface.
Oh, okay. Awesome. That's really cool.
And yeah, basically it's I can run I'll run the programming software in a minute to show you what it looks like. I don't have it connected to the unit, but you can see the menu pop up. Pretty clean to use, easy to use. And nice thing about it is the over-the-air software upgrade. So once you've got the unit installed, you can actually go out and update the firmware without physically connecting to the device. So you're not driving out to every pump site or whatever to update the data or the hardware.
So how long is this battery going to last?
Depends on the thing. There's a calculator. If I pull it every 20 minutes or whatever, it'll last for 5 or 6 years. There is a calculator for it. It's a push technology, so it doesn't get pulled. It actually sends data when things change, and it has a heartbeat. So if you keep the heartbeat to a reasonable length of time, and it only sends data when things change, so you can set a deadband on your analog. You can put when the discrete input comes in, you can send a signal. So you can control battery usage quite a bit. And if you're really worried, they said there's a solar panel option. It's like $500 US to add on top of that. That gives you a solar panel with a battery. So you basically don't have to ever change the batteries. And like my one client, they're actually powering it with a DC source externally. So they aren't using the batteries at all.
So you've opened the price discussion now. So tell me a little bit about the cost of this.
The unit, the basic unit we sell right now it's $650 US, so about $1,000 Canadian. Like I said, the option for the solar panel is $500 and some odd dollars US, so we're talking maybe $700 Canadian. So for less than $1,000, you can get the unit with battery power, and for $1,700 Canadian, you can get one that's got a solar panel on it. Never have to
That
change
solar
the
panel
battery.
means it'll power itself indefinitely until the battery
It'll
fails
power
in
itself. The
10 or 20
batteries,
years.
and yeah, the solar panel will charge the batteries during the daytime, and it'll run through the night. It's designed to run 24/7 forever. So,
Okay, cool. So what else do you have to tell me about this product?
well, right now our one client is using the SignalFire cloud services. So basically, when you set up the SignalFire cloud service, they have a fee for that, of course, and it gives you the analog status. It gives you the temperature of the unit, the status of the discretes. You can turn the discrete output on, control-wise. You can set up an alarm call out. So I can have it set up so when this digital switch comes on, Mervyn gets phoned, or I get phoned, or we get emailed. At this point, I have it sending both text messages and emails to me when the thing changes status. So it's got a lot of flexibility. You can have as many people as you need on the list. I don't think there's any physical limit. It doesn't matter who you want to irritate the most, I guess.
Cool. So just in summary, do you have a summary slide in here?
I got an application summary. Showed you
Perfect.
some
Okay.
some different
So-
pictures.
So, but
Shows
yeah,
you
so
the,
just if I'm to understand correctly, normally with SignalFire, we have a gateway that speaks Modbus and has to speak to a cell modem or a T-box or something. But in this case, we just have the device. And then all you have to do is map that into the broker, which could be a T-box or could be a third-party cloud-based broker. And
Yes.
then all we have to do is map into that broker as well on the other side, either from the SignalFire website or from VT SCADA via, at this point in time, AutoSol. Is that correct?
Yes. You basically, instead of a host, a gateway device, we have basically a broker.
So all the guy in the field really has to do is go and screw that thing into whatever device he's sensing, or connect the wires up to whatever device he's sensing, and he's done.
Yep.
Very cool.
Plug in your SIM card and away you go. I'm going to run the configuration software to show you what the parameters need to be filled in. There's my price on it. There's a test drive you can actually go and try it out on the SignalFire website. But right now I'm going to run up the.
Okay, John, cool. I see you got the SignalFire screen up.
I do so. This is the free toolkit from SignalFire for the Ranger. It's available on their network. Just download from the internet, and away you go. It's pretty simple to set up. It's got a number of tabs across the top here. The one I'm most concerned with is MQTT. This lets me configure the network device. I've got two choices. One is SignalFire Cloud, which takes it to their cloud service. In this case, I'm using custom because I've got a T-box RTU acting as a broker. So my broker name is Optimus mytbox.biz. It's got a port address, which I set. The username's T-box. It's got a password, and we gave it a name, of course. And then right now the TLS is disabled because we were trying to avoid any other issues because of security. So that's basically like to set up, and away she goes. Sparkplug tab. This is just the actual node address for the Ranger. It's actually on a piece of a label on the unit itself, so it's pretty simple. And then your I/O, you can actually set what kind of data you want, whether you want voltage, analog, or whatever on there. There's a switch also on the RTU, so it's very, very simple to set up. And I was going to quickly show you what the VT SCADA side looks like. So I'm going to share that screen as well. This is basically, it's a very simplistic screen I set up. I'm not a super programmer, as Mervyn mentioned. I'm not a super techno guy. I'm one of those guys that I know it will work. I just don't really worry too much about how it works. But this case I did. Anyway, so in the Ranger, there's a number of addresses available. This one I called DI1 just because it was digital input. But when I want to interface to the Ranger, I've set up an OPC interface in VT SCADA that talks to the broker. And then when I pick up the broker, it gives me a list of all the parameters available inside the Ranger. So it's very, very simple. You just grab the one you want. In this case, I took DEV/DIN1, which is digital input 1, but I've also div1 count 1. I've got that in there too. I could pick up the frequency if it's got a pulse coming in. So it's very, very easy to address the different data points inside the Ranger and you display them. So when you look here, I've actually got this very, very boring screen here, but I've got a button, little light here, says digital input 1. I got a limit switch on the side of the Ranger here. My very simplistic operator interface. I've got a switch that goes from switch 1 to switch 2, and of course, the light turns green and go back again. The count should go back up to 7. So it's very, very, very simple to use, yeah, it's very good, nice, easy product, and super configurable. And thank you very much.
That's awesome. So just to clarify, what you were browsing there was the AutoSol OPC browser, correct?
That was the AutoSol OPC interface, yes.
And then that talks MQTT, the same simple configuration as you had on the Ranger. You have to set up the AutoSol broker to talk to, or sorry, the AutoSol driver to talk to the MQTT broker.
Yeah, the AutoSol driver has to talk to the broker. Yes.
In this case, our broker was a T-Box.
Yes, and if I would have thought ahead, I could have actually brought that up too. There's not much to configure there as well. Everything, there's not a lot of configuration to do. You got to give it some pointers so it knows where to find things is all.
Excellent. Okay, well, John, that was fantastic. Thank you so much for doing this. I'm really impressed. And,
it'll get better the second time, I'm sure.
Okay, take care.
Take care, thank you.